On an ordinary Tuesday morning in Providence, Rhode Island, a 12-year-old boy named Arion walked into municipal court alongside his mother. They weren't there for anything dramatic, no criminal charges, no custody battle. Just 4 red light traffic violations. But what happened in the next few minutes would turn a routine hearing into one of the most memorable moments in the courtroom of Judge Frank Caprio. Arion stood quietly, hands folded, watching as his mother prepared to explain their situation to the judge known for his compassion. Judge Frank Caprio has presided over Providence Municipal Court for decades, but he's far from a typical judge. His courtroom became famous through the television show Caught in Providence, where cameras capture real cases and real people. Caprio is known for listening, truly listening, to the stories behind the violations. He asks questions. He shows empathy. He understands that sometimes a traffic ticket represents something much bigger in someone's life. And on this particular morning, he was about to demonstrate exactly why millions of people around the world have come to respect him. Arion's mother stepped forward to address the court. The charges were straightforward, for separate instances of running red lights, all captured by traffic cameras throughout Providence. Each violation carried a fine, and together they represented a significant financial burden for the family. As Judge Caprio reviewed the paperwork, the courtroom was quiet. These cases usually take just minutes: review the evidence, hear a brief explanation, issue a ruling. But Caprio noticed something. The boy standing beside the defendant. He wasn't fidgeting or distracted. He was paying attention, standing close to his mother, present in every sense of the word. Arion's mother began to explain. The violations weren't from reckless driving or deliberate disregard for the law. She had been rushing. Rushing to get Arion to school on time, rushing to get to work, rushing through the demands of single parenthood and the pressure of making ends meet. The red lights she ran weren't on highways or dangerous intersections, they were in neighborhoods, early in the morning, when she was trying to balance everything a working mother balances. Judge Caprio listened without interruption. He'd heard thousands of explanations over his career, but he always gave each person the courtesy of being heard completely. Then Judge Caprio did something unexpected. He turned his attention away from the mother and looked directly at Arion. He asked the boy a simple question: "What do you think about your mom?" The courtroom grew even quieter. Court staff, observers, even the cameraman seemed to lean in slightly. It wasn't a question about the violations. It wasn't about guilt or innocence. It was a question that acknowledged Arion as a person, not just a bystander. And it gave him a chance to speak about the woman standing beside him, the woman who had brought him to court to face consequences honestly. Arion didn't hesitate. He didn't look down or mumble. He looked at Judge Caprio and spoke clearly. He said his mother was the best mom in the world. She worked hard every single day. She made sure he got to school, that he had what he needed, that he was taken care of. She did everything for him, he said. And you could hear it in his voice. This wasn't a coached answer or something said to impress the judge. This was a 12-year-old boy telling the truth about someone he loved. The simplicity and sincerity of his words cut through all the procedural language and legal formality of the courtroom. There was a collective shift in the room. Court staff smiled. Observers in the gallery looked at each other. Even Judge Caprio paused, visibly moved by the boy's words. It's rare in a courtroom, especially one that processes hundreds of traffic violations every week, to witness such a genuine moment of love and respect between a child and a parent. Arion's mother looked at her son, her expression a mix of pride and emotion. She hadn't asked him to say those things. He said them because he believed them. And in that moment, the case stopped being about 4 red lights and became about something deeper: family, sacrifice, and recognition. Judge Caprio understood what he was seeing. He understood the pressure on single parents, the impossible math of trying to be in 2 places at once, the weight of making sure your child gets to school while you get to work while the bills get paid. He'd seen it countless times. But hearing it from the child's perspective, hearing Ariane describe his mother's efforts with such clarity and appreciation added a dimension that paperwork and citations could never capture. The violations were real, yes. But so was the context. So was the struggle. And so was the love that motivated every rushed morning and every red light run in desperation. Each red light violation in Providence carries a fine. When you multiply that by 4, the total becomes a serious financial burden, especially for a family already working hard to make ends meet. For some, a few $100s is an inconvenience. For others, it's a choice between paying the fine or paying for groceries, rent, or school supplies. Judge Caprio has always been aware of this reality. He's dismissed fines before. He's reduced penalties. He's paid tickets out of his own pocket when he believed the person in front of him was genuinely struggling. Because he believes the law should be just, but it should also be human. Frank Caprio didn't become beloved by accident. His approach to justice is rooted in something older than modern legal theory. It's rooted in the belief that every person who stands before him deserves dignity and a fair hearing. He often says that he sees his own parents and the defendants who come through his courtroom. Immigrants, working-class families, people trying their best in difficult circumstances. His parents were immigrants from Italy who worked hard and sacrificed so their children could have better lives. That history informs every decision he makes. He never forgot where he came from, and he never forgets that the people in his courtroom are human beings first. Judge Caprio looked at Ariane and his mother. He acknowledged the violations, they had happened, they were documented, and there were consequences. But he also acknowledged the reality of their lives. He spoke directly to Ariane, thanking him for his honesty and for his love and respect for his mother. Then he made his decision. He dismissed all 4 violations. The fines were erased. The case was closed. It wasn't about letting someone off the hook. It was about recognizing that punishment isn't always the path to justice, and that sometimes the best thing a judge can do is give someone a second chance and the space to keep doing their best. What Ariane did in that courtroom, whether he fully understood it or not, was give his mother a gift. By speaking honestly about her efforts, her sacrifices, and her character, he helped Judge Caprio see the full picture. Children often don't realize the weight their words carry, especially in moments like these. But Ariane's testimony wasn't just helpful, it was powerful. It reminded everyone in that room that behind every traffic violation, every citation, every case number, there's a story. There's a person trying to navigate life's demands. And sometimes, all it takes is a child's honest love to bring that story into focus. The video of this case, recorded as part of Caught in Providence, was posted online and quickly spread across social media. Millions of people watched it. Comments poured in from around the world. People were moved by Ariane's sincerity, by his mother's quiet dignity, and by Judge Caprio's compassion. In a world where viral videos often showcase conflict, cruelty, or outrage, this was different. It was a reminder that kindness still exists in institutions. That judges can be human. That children see and appreciate more than we think. And that sometimes, the most powerful moments are the simplest ones, a boy defending his mother, and a judge who listened. This case is one of hundreds that Judge Caprio has handled with the same care and humanity. But it stands out because it illustrates a larger truth about justice. The law exists to create order, but it must be applied with wisdom. Traffic violations are real, and public safety matters. But so does understanding. So does compassion. Judge Caprio has built a career on balancing those things, upholding the law while recognizing the humanity of those who break it. His courtroom isn't a place where rules are ignored. It's a place where people are seen. And that distinction makes all the difference. Ariane probably didn't walk into that courtroom thinking he'd teach anyone a lesson. But he did. He taught everyone watching that honesty matters, that love is visible, and that speaking up for the people who care for us is never wasted. He also reminded adults, judges, parents, viewers, that children are paying attention. They see the sacrifices made on their behalf. They notice the exhaustion, the effort, the love poured into every ordinary day. And when given the chance, they'll speak that truth out loud. In a courtroom designed for penalties and procedures, a 12-year-old boy brought something else entirely: gratitude. And it changed the outcome. After the case was dismissed, Ariane and his mother walked out of the courtroom together. The cameras stopped rolling. Life returned to its normal rhythm: school, work, the daily hustle. But something had shifted. They'd experienced a moment of grace in a place usually reserved for penalties. They'd been heard. They'd been seen. And they left knowing that kindness and justice can coexist. Judge Caprio continued his work, hearing case after case, treating each person with the same respect. And the video of that morning remained online, continuing to reach new audiences, continuing to remind people that even in systems built on rules, humanity can break through. Years later, the story of Ariane and Judge Caprio still resonates. It's been shared in classrooms, discussed in legal ethics courses, and referenced in conversations about what justice should look like. It's a case study not in legal theory but in human decency. It shows that the system doesn't have to be cold. That authority doesn't require cruelty. That a judge can be both firm and kind. And it shows that sometimes the most important testimony doesn't come from lawyers or expert witnesses, it comes from a child standing beside his mother, speaking the truth about love. That's the real verdict. And it's one that continues to echo far beyond Providence, Rhode Island.